Are we ready to go? Yeah, great.
Okay.
We're about on time, I think.
So I would like to start and say hi, welcome. So this is the session called Stop Doing Your Retrospectives and Start Doing Your Toyota Katas instead. So if you want to see another session, this is the time to leave and go to the right room.
So I guess, hi.
Hi.
I'm Håkan Forss. I'm a lean agile coach from Avega Group.
Oh, nice to meet you. So my name is Mattias Karlsson, and I work as a team lead and a scrum master and agile coach at Avega Group as well.
So could you talk a little bit about your team?
Yes, definitely. So I have a team that I work with for about 18 months, and we're doing pretty well, actually. We're doing Scrum, we're doing Agile, we're doing Kanban, and we try different agile methodologies, and we're pretty good, actually, and we even have the business side with us. So and as you can see in the next picture here, we're actually co-located, so we have the team seated together, both the developers, the quality insurance team, and the business side and requirements. So I think we're pretty, we're a very good agile team.
Good. And how are you doing with your improvement work, improving your way of working? Yes,
and I think that from me is really one of the core values of agile, that you actually work continuously with improvements. And since we are, basically Scrum, we are doing the retrospectives after every sprint and picking up some improvements work from there.
And how do these retrospectives? How do you do them? Are you collecting things that works and things that doesn't work, and how do you do that process?
I would say it's pretty much, as you see, it's pretty much pain driven. So we feel what could we improve from this sprint to the next that makes our life a bit easier. So we kind of pick our worst pain and work with that. So and when we do these sessions, we do a sticker notes thing, and then we do dot voting, and one or two items with the most dot votes. We work with that and try to solve that for the next sprint.
Yeah, and are they kind of moving in the same direction, or are they?
I would say that I think it's both high and low, different things, small technical issues or bigger process improvement stuff, but it's many different things. I wouldn't say that it has any real direction.
So do you have a focus for how you want to evolve your business processes, or is it more pain driven, as you said?
I would say it's very much pain driven, and gut feeling. What can we do to improve ourselves?
Yeah. So do you see problems that you fix in one sprint coming back again, or how does that feel?
No, I think that we see some problems that pop up again, and we try to smack them down, like the whack-a-mole game. But I would say, for the most part, I think we actually do improve.
And do you do your improvement work mainly in the retrospective and around that, or is it more part of your daily work?
I would say that we pick up most of the improvements material in the retrospective, but we try to work with them throughout the sprint.
Yeah.
A small portion of the time, not really decided how much, but we try to work with it.
Yeah. So is it like your daily work is delivering value and then also doing improvement of your work on a daily basis, or is it?
I would say that we try, but when we get into some issues with delivering value, we kind of focus on that, and it's hard to find the time to do the improvement work.
Yeah. So when you come to the end of the sprint, it feels like you pushing on delivering.
Yes,
rather
we are
than
a bit
improving.
guilty. We try it. We really would like to add more time to improving the work.
So would you be willing to try something different, a more structured way of doing process improvement?
I guess I have to say yes now, right? Otherwise the session is over.
So I'm going to explain a little bit about a method that I use that is called the Toyota Kata, from the book with the same name. It's the author Mike Rothers, who is a researcher at the University of Michigan, and he has observed companies like Toyota and other companies doing lean and how they do the actual improvement work, and trying to figure out what is the kind of the hidden pattern around how they do work. But let's start with the question here. What is a kata? Do you know what a kata is?
Yes, I haven't worked with Toyota Kata, but I kind of know something about the kata thing. We're doing some coding dojos, and we're working with kata there, and I know it's kind of related to martial arts.
Yeah.
But I think you give me your version so we have a common ground.
Do we have anyone here that knows what a kata is? Yes?
I mean, in martial arts, it's a set of movements like that. You go through.
So in martial arts, it's a set of movements that you go through. So I guess I have never done martial arts myself, but this is supposed to be a martial arts kata. It's something that you repeat more and over and over, and you try to go to perfection over time. Yes?
I run a London code dojo. A kata is not just used in martial arts, it's also used in all traditional Japanese arts, and it's a pattern or set piece that you repeat over and over and over again in order to instill an understanding of basic principles.
So, yeah. So it's repeating something to get an understanding for more of the meaning, and also striving for perfection. So the tea ceremony is, for instance, the Japanese tea ceremony is something that you do, trying to strive for perfection over time.
I think this is something that you use to kind of create a muscle memory. And I don't know if you have remember the movie Karate Kid? When the guy is trying to polish his car, wax on, wax off, and then suddenly he knows karate. So it's pretty amazing, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's really about creating a muscle memory. And Toyota Kata is about creating the same kind of muscle memory for doing continuous improvements. It's something that you should repeat over and over, and try to strive for perfection in terms of doing the improvement work, but also improving the way you do work itself. And Toyota Kata contains of two main katas. We have the improvement kata and we have the coaching kata. And we will start diving into the improvement kata. And the improvement kata is about moving towards a vision, something that is perfect, a nirvana or something like that. So it's quite far out. And how we strive to that, we need to know really where we are today. So we need to understand our current condition, how our processes and how our work is really working today. And then we kind of aim towards the vision. But the vision is something that is quite far out. Aiming for nirvana in the first day might be quite hard. So we might need a challenge on the way. That is a little bit further out, not very close and not too far out. But even this might be a little bit too long, so we want to iterate. So we set up target conditions on the way to this challenge.
Okay, so could you kind of find a good example on this? So what do you mean by vision and challenge and target condition? Is it should I set a vision for next week or next month?
So you can think of an example say let's talk about space exploration. A vision would be to boldly go where no one has gone before. So it's kind of a vision. We haven't really achieved that yet, right? So a current condition could be at the beginning of the 1960s. We have rockets. They can maybe fly quite high or quite long, but they can't really explore space. And then a president set forth a challenge. We should go to the moon and back at the end of this decade. And that would be a challenge. So it's a few years out. And if we talk about Toyota, they have a challenge that might be 5 years or 10 years out. And this was more or less, I think it was 8.5 years out or something like that. But we need some target conditions. Maybe we need to have a rocket that could go out of orbit. We need it to go around the Earth. We need to make it go around the moon and back again, and then we need to go to the moon and land, and then we get back again, surviving it. So that could be
I think I understand now.
Yeah.
So that's I wonder how it was like in the 1960s when actually the president said that. I guess there were some engineers that were kind of nervous, right?
I think so, but pushing yourself to achieve something like that and have a very high focus on that goal can really, really help. So Toyota Kata is about the 4 steps in the improvement kata is understanding direction, to have a true understanding of where you're going, so you have a shared kind of direction in the company and your group. Understanding your current condition, really understand that. Then establish small challenges or target condition that you're moving towards and through towards your vision, and then PDCA cycles or small experiments on your way to the next target condition. So let's dive into understanding the direction. So by understanding the direction, we need to have a shared vision where we're going to go. So we need to understand how we want things to work when we arrive. A friend working at Spotify, he said that they are talking about this, they are talking the state of awesomeness. So how should it look when we arrive? So this should be a process-focused vision. So it's not really a business vision or kind of we should conquer the world or anything like that. It should be focused on how you do work, how work should be performed in your company. It should not be outcome-focused, so we don't really focus that much on the number of features or when the product, how many products we deliver in a year or something like that. It should be focused on how we do work. And also not a business vision or a company vision. So if we look at an example taken from Toyota, their vision for how they operate their assembly process, it says 0 defects, 100% value added, 1 piece flow in sequence on demand, and because they're making cars in a factory, security for people.
But hey, you know, what kind of vision is that? What do you really mean by 100% value added?
Yes, and in terms of making cars in an assembly line, Toyota thinks about everything that is not taking raw materials to something that adds value for the end customer as non-value add. So if you have, for instance, your car assembly line here and you have the parts that you're going to put on the car here, the movement of picking it up here and moving towards the car and putting it in here, that is waste. That is non-value added. And as you understand, that is quite hard to achieve 100% value added, but this is something that you strive for over a long, long period of time.
It seems like a vision. And 1 piece flow in sequence on demand. That sounds like a conference talk title only.
Maybe we should do that talk, Mattias. So 1 piece flow in sequence on demand means that when a customer wants something, you build them in the sequence the customer wants them, and you build them one at a time. And of course, even this for Toyota that has strived for this for 70 years or so now, they are nowhere close to this. They build basically on forecast still on the cars.
And they have cars in stock?
Yes, they do.
Yeah. Okay.
Based on forecasting. They don't build them in the sequence people buy them, but they build them in a sequence that is right now efficient for how they operate their processes, but they're striving to build them in the sequence based on the customer orders. And 1 piece flow, of course, they don't ask the mining company to get ore for 1 car at a time. They buy it in bulk. But they're striving to get it more in a continuous flow.
Great. Let's move on.
So we go to the grasping the current condition. So understanding how things work is very, very important, because if we don't understand how things work today, how can we really know when we make a change if we're approving or not? So we really need to collect information and knowledge about how a process works. And of course, you need to go and see where the work is really done to see how this works. You can't sit in a corner office at the top floor and the team that's working on this is on the shop floor, so to say. So you really need to go where the work is done.
Okay.
And it's also very important to not just trust your gut feeling for how things work, but you should really try to collect the data.
Okay.
And then you may ask, what kind of data are we trying to collect? So we're trying to collect data and facts and not gut feeling. If you want to use gut feeling, because sometimes gut feeling is a very good kind of signal, then measure your gut feeling over time so you can see if you're trending in the right direction. It should be process metrics, how the process operates. Typical things would be lead time, number of defects, how much time you spend on fixing problem, non-value adding things and value adding things. And also collecting output metrics. That means, are we profitable? Are we delivering? How many features do we deliver and so forth? Because that is kind of the measure if we are improving or not. Then we get into establishing the target condition.
Okay.
And a target condition is kind of a challenge or something that you're going to strive for that in a shorter period. And this is something that you set up between a coach, leader, and the team in a dialogue. But it should be something that is kind of, you should start with the end in mind. So state of awesomeness, but quite close. It should also kind of define how the destination really looks like. So how should a process act when you arrive at this destination?
And I would say this is actually a bit different from the way we're doing the retrospective nowadays, because for most of the time, our team has a pretty good idea to start with what need to be done, and then they just perform it, and then we think the problem is solved.
So you're focusing on the problems, but sometimes if you want to move in a certain direction, just solving problems might not really get you in that specific direction. But here you set out, so we want to arrive here, and we want to try to remove all the obstacles on the way to that state of awesomeness. And setting the target condition is quite hard. It should be kind of something that is just outside of your knowledge horizon, the knowledge threshold. So it should be something that you don't really fully understand how to achieve today, but it shouldn't be too far out, because then you don't kind of get the motivation to do it. And it should also feel like putting a square peg in a round hole.
We're going back to the space thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the movie, have you seen the movie Apollo 13? I don't know if that is actually a true story, but then they have 2 modules, right?
Yep.
And they have some failing and they need to return to Earth. And then suddenly they realize that they don't have enough oxygen. And then they realize that the landing module and
Command module, I think it's called.
Yes.
Yeah.
Both have air filters, but one of them has a square and the other one has a round filter.
Yeah.
And they need to figure out how to actually have them work.
Yeah.
So they put all the engineers in a room and pretty much lock it and say, you have to solve this problem with only the material that are on the ship, and ring the bell when you're done.
Yeah. And what I have found is, if you focus on getting to a specific solution instead of just focusing on the problems, we are challenging ourselves much more, and we come up with solutions that we didn't think of in the first place. And we as humans are very, very good at this. So this is a very effective way of finding out new ways of doing things, but when you push yourself to find solutions for a problem, getting to a destination instead of just fixing problems. And setting the target condition should be an hypothesis on the journey towards the challenge and the vision. And that means that it's not the end, it just is a step on the journey. Sometimes you will hit the step, and sometimes you will even pass it and go through to the vision. So it's not a defined point, more than putting it as the kind of the next step. It should be based on your business strategy. So if you're a agile and lean company, it should be based on the values and principles in agile and lean. You shouldn't increase batch sizes, for instance, if you don't do that for a very specific reason.
So does this actually work for development teams? I heard today that we're not in this for delivering business value.
Well, I believe, at least for me, it has been as a software developer, I wanted to deliver business value, but that may be another story. So setting these target conditions is also very hard. So in Swedish, we have a very good word for this. It's called the lagom. And I guess the simplest term in English would be the Goldilocks rule. So it should be like the Goldilocks and the Three Bears. It should be not too hard, not too soft, just right. So the target condition should also be just right. And of course, that is very hard. So we have our current condition and we have a challenge. So we set the target conditions, and it can feel like when I draw it like this, you have them on a straight line.
Yes, this looks like, the typical process talk, right?
Yes.
It seems a straight line, everything is following each other, perfect, and nirvana at the end of the arrow.
Exactly. And of course, this is not reality. Reality is more like this. You will have kind of the territory of the unknown, and you really need just to take a step into the unknown and see what happens. And when you are in there, you need to kind of compensate, and you take the next step towards the target condition, or the challenge in this case. So let's take some software example of target conditions. We can start with make all work visible. In most teams, you have maybe some visualization, but making all work visible helps you to understand how the process operates. So for me, I'm using, usually have some Kanban board or a Scrum board. That would be the first kind of step to start improving your way of working. Then we can do things like lead time. So say a very specific one, you say half the lead time from 80 days to 40 days. So concept to cash, half the time. That would be a hard challenge in most cases.
And I think that is one of the, at my clients, it seems to be one of the issues that are most common. The business side want to deliver value faster, and the more enterprise the company is, the longer the release cycles are, typically.
And usually what you see if you analyze your processes is that most processes contain more wait time than actual work time. But using these kind of specific targets, you can kind of start to attack that. We also have work in progress, changing from 20 to 15. So what would happen if we would lower the amount of user stories so that we can have active in the company at one time? What do we need to change in terms of working if we make this change? Maybe deployment to production every 2 weeks. At least in the company I work right now, that would be kind of more or less a vision, but there are people doing this. So this is something that you could strive for even in a smaller steps.
Sure.
And maybe use specification by example for 80% of your features could be a very specific target condition that you can strive for as well. Then moving on to the PDCA towards the target condition from your current condition. So Mattias, do you know what the PDCA?
PDCA, I actually know that. I'm not sure that we're using it, but it stands for plan, do, check, and act. So it's a small process of finding and working with improvements, or doing experiments.
And you can really say that Scrum is a kind of a PDCA cycle. You plan in the sprint planning, you do in the actual sprint, and then you check it at the demo and the retrospective how it works, and then you replan and make changes to your plan for your next iteration.
You're acting on a retrospective.
Exactly. So PDCA cycles towards your target conditions is really about taking small experiments of how work is done towards your target condition. So you state, using the scientific method, you kind of state an hypothesis. You make a prediction of what will happen if you try to implement this hypothesis. You do the actual experiment, and this part is bigger than the other one. It should be this the big part. And then you observe and see what happens.
So, but I'm a bit trigger happy. I don't see why we need to predict first. So, if you state that we're supposed to measure, so why don't we just make a hypothesis and do the experiment and then observe and act on that? Well, why do you need to do a prediction?
Well, in most cases, then it might be that you kind of change your hypothesis in the after the fact, so to say. So by stating what you think will happen, you will actually create a delta between the prediction and the observation, and that would be your learning opportunity. So if you don't make the prediction beforehand, then you're just executing and not focusing on the learning part, and the learning part is very important.
Okay, and it kind of sounds like if you're actually have the right outcome as you're predicted, you're actually not learning anything. You're just implementing late.
Exactly. And you should look at doing these experiments. You should expect at least 50% of these experiments not to give the result you expected, because this is really where you learn. And that means that it should, we don't get what we expect, it could be both not as good, but even better than we expected. And then we have an opportunity to kind of analyze what happens and create learning.
So it's okay to fail.
Absolutely. And if you go to a company like Toyota, they talk about if you don't have any problems and you don't fail, we have a real problem. So the target, moving towards the target condition, using the PDCA cycle, you get back to the kind of same image again. And of course, this is just like when we're moving from the current condition to the challenge. It's really about stepping into the unknown. And we might take a step into this, and we see we didn't really get the results we expected. We need to make some other adjustment change to this, and we might start over or just make a correction. And hopefully, we get to the target condition when it expires or before.
Okay, it sounds cool. I'm kind of convinced now, so we can at least try it.
Absolutely. Let's dig in.
Yes, sure.
So we will start by understanding the direction. So have you thought about a vision and a challenge?
Absolutely. Based on what I learned now, we set up this. We have a vision that says we should have 0 defects in production. We should have about 100% value added, and we should strive for highest value first on demand. And I would say that we are quite, we are close to that now because we're doing Scrum and we're doing our priorities. So I think this is a reasonable vision.
Even the 0 defects part and 100%
Absolutely.
value add?
Yes.
So when you reason about the daily stand-ups, do you think that is a value-added part of your process?
It's fun.
Is it really adding value to your end customer?
I guess not.
So if you do these daily stand-ups all day, would the customer be happy? Probably not, right?
Probably not.
But,
okay.
It seems some parts of what we do might not be value-added, but be required for us to deliver real value. So sometimes you can't just take away things that are non-value-added, but you really need them for now. But to striving for it could be, maybe we can find a better way to doing daily, the same things as daily stand-ups. So, a challenge then. A
challenge. So one of the things that we have figured out from earlier is that some bugs or defects pop up and get back in the system. Nobody knows why. So that is first challenge, no recurring defects. Also, we see that we have our different staging environments for system testing and acceptance testing and products. They behave a bit differently. So we want to make sure that we have the same configuration in all staging environments. Mm-hmm. Also, we want to have our functionality delivered faster to the end customer. Concept to cash. It's a bit slogan, right?
Yeah.
And we want to shorten that to maybe to weeks rather than months. And we want to go into more of a continuous delivery mode so that we can deliver at least to our acceptance environment in just days rather than weeks.
So this could be a challenge like this. It would be no recurrent defects and the same environment, but also maybe half the lead time or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. So we have a common understanding of our direction. So if we take a look at how our current condition looks like, have you taken a look at how your process works?
Yes, we kind of a learn now. So instead of just go on gut feeling, we have started to collect some data. So we are actually, if you're going to the next slide.
Oh, look at this.
You see here that we are collecting some data on the lead times of all our features. And we also have a flow diagram.
The cumulative flow diagram?
Yes.
Yeah.
To measure lead times for our features. And also you can see there where we spend our time.
Yeah. And I see you have these control charts up here for the different sizes of work. And we see that there are some built-in variation to lead time there as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Seems like I have a quite good understanding of how your work really performs today.
Yes, and it seems to us that we have, we have some suspicions against our testing cycles.
Ah, so the part of the testing, part of the process would be that the testing is the potential problem.
Yes.
So then we kind of need to look into establishing the next target condition. We talked about this. The testing might be the problem, or something that we need to address in the process.
So, and I would say that we are having a bit of a problem with finding a way to do a structured setting the next target condition. So I don't know if you have any tips on what we can use.
Yeah. So you can use. This is from the Toyota Kata handbook that you can download for free from Mike Rodda's webpage. And this is a form. You don't need to use this form, but it helps you kind of being explicit. It helps you visualize, and something that you can bring with you when you have these discussions. And these forms help you kind of defining your current condition. And then you kind of move the process information that you have, maybe a sequence diagram for how the process works, and then you move it over to your target condition, and then you just change the part of the process metrics that you want to change in this target condition.
Okay, so let's fill in our data.
Yes, the current condition.
We have measured now, so we have some user stories that takes us 12 days to deliver, some takes 20 days, and the larger one takes 40 days. We have some defects that are escaping our testing cycles, and then we are measuring our customer satisfaction again also. And it seems that we wanted to focus on the lead time.
Yeah, and it seems that you have a description of how you do your work as well up here. So then step 2 would be to just move all this over to the target condition. And then focus on what we want to change.
So let's change the lead times.
Yeah. So we lower the lead time, and this target condition we say we lower the lead time by.
Yeah, it seems to us that we have a problem with just setting up the test environment. So and when we look at the data, it seems like we're always stuck there for a couple of days. So that is why we are cutting all stories 4 days.
Okay. So we have very specific target condition here about the lead time, but we haven't changed anything else. So the idea is to do changes that will not affect anything else.
Small changes, one at a time.
And that means that we go into the PDCA cycles then. And then we will restate kind of to have a shared understanding where we stand.
Yes.
So we will say, what is the target condition?
So our target condition is to cut 4 days on the lead times, meaning that we are going for 8 days for the small ones and the large one 36 days.
And what is the actual condition right now?
The actually current condition right now is 12 days.
Great.
20 days and 40 days.
Good. So what is the obstacles preventing you from reaching the target condition?
Yes, it's actually our setup process for the testing environment.
Okay. So the next step might be to find out how the actual test setup looks and how it works.
Yes. So our next step is since we realize that some parts of the team really doesn't know how the setup process works. So we have decided to document the setup process to make sure that we are all are doing it the same way, and that we are knowing exactly what the next steps are.
Okay. And what do you expect from taking that step?
We're expecting to learn and get more knowledge on the steps that actually is needed for every time we set up the test environment.
Okay. And when can we go and see what happened when taking this step?
I don't know. We need to find out some stuff, and we have to write this document. So I would say, I think we need a week.
It seems like you're copping out a little bit here about doing daily improvements, maybe focusing too much on delivering value. Do you think we can meet a little bit earlier?
Yeah, we can try. So let's meet in 2 days.
Yeah, great. See you in 2 days.
Perfect.
2 days goes, and we get back again. So, Mattias, what is the target condition that we're working on?
Yes, it's a bit repetitive now, but our target condition is to cut our lead times in 4 days.
And the target condition would be, the lead time for small would be 8, the medium would be 16, and large would be 36.
Yes.
And how is the actual condition right now?
So today, our current condition is 11 days on lead time for small, and medium 19 days, and large 39 days.
It seems like something has changed since we seen last time.
Yes, but it's moving in the right direction. But I think it's only kind of a variation in our measurement systems.
So there could be some built-in variation in how work is done in the process. So what was your last step?
Our last step was to document the setup process for the test environment.
And what did you expect?
To understand the process better.
And what really happened?
Yes, when we did that, we actually realized that most parts of it, or much more than we expected, were actually manual steps. So
what did you really learn?
We think that we can cut a lot of the time by automating the manual steps. So the team is really, on the grasp of doing this now, and they wanted to get to it. And so we will start to automate the entire setup process.
Okay. And what is the obstacles preventing you from reaching the target condition we talked about now?
That we're doing stuff manually.
Yes. So you want to. So what do you trying to address in the next step?
To automate the setup process.
Okay. And that seems like a quite large undertaking. How long do you think that will take?
Given the complexity, I think it will take about 3 or 4 weeks at least.
It seems like maybe a little bit too large step. Could we try to make smaller steps to see some progress as we go?
Yeah, I guess we could. So let's just, we can aim on just to set up the test database.
It seems like a little bit smaller experiment. What would you expect to happen when we do this experiment?
I think that we would expect half the lead time on setting up the test database.
Great. And when can we go and see what we have learned from taking this step?
We need more than 2 days now. For sure. Yeah,
Okay,
I think so. So could you give us a week?
Yeah, a week seems reasonable in this case.
Okay.
So let's let's meet in a week again.
Great. Bye. Thank you.
And this was a coaching session in 2 parts that we acted out. And as you can see, it's really a dialogue between the 2 people. And to facilitate this dialogue, we go through the coaching kata, which was the other kata of the Toyota Kata. And the coaching kata is really about the leaders in the organization kind of coaching and mentoring the learners. And the learners in this case would be the team lead or the team itself.
Or the Scrum Master.
Or the Scrum Master, yes, absolutely. Or the Kanban Master, as they call it in my company. Or at the client I work with right now. And it should really be like the coaching kata should be helping the team leader, the team, helping them do the work, but also giving a push in the right direction in terms of your business strategy and how you want your processes to behave.
Okay, but still, it felt a bit, you were coaching me, but it felt really structured and a bit repetitive. And I was seeing that you actually have some kind of card. So what is that?
Yes, so this is the coaching card, and we have a digital version up here. So these are the 5 questions that we went through. So we started by restating the target condition, and by doing this we kind of share the common goal, the end in mind. We're focusing on that. By starting the conversation with the end in mind, we focus on where we're going to go. And then we try to see what's the current condition, and that means if we meet every other day or once a week, we should have the actual process data available at that time, based on facts.
And it seems for me like a good thing as a learner as well, because it means that I could prepare for the questions that you will ask me.
Exactly. It becomes like a safety net, that you know what to expect when we meet and we have this dialogue.
Yeah.
And if we have done an experiment before, we now flip over the card, and on the back side of the card we go through, so we see what was your last step, and when we repeat what we were predicting would happen, and then we see what really happened, and then we have a discussion about what did we really learn. So this is really about creating a learning organization of how we do work and how we improve over time. And then we go back to the last 3 questions, and we focus on the obstacles, and just the obstacles standing in your way from where you are today and your target condition. And we only focus on trying to solving those that are standing in the way to achieve the target condition. That means that some problems that we have that are not kind of part of going to the target conditions is not our focus right now. But as we improve over time, many of these problems might be the problems that we will address over time.
So where can I get the card somewhere?
Absolutely. We have a link down here, so you can also Google for the Improvement Kata and the Coaching Kata card, 5-question card. And of course these are in the slides that you will get after the presentation. And then we have the 2 last questions. We have what is your next step and what do you expect when taking that step? And then maybe the most important question, when can we go and see what we have learned from taking this step? So you go through this just like a kata. Now when we did this 2 days kind of going through the katas 2 times right back to back, it felt very repetitive, but doing it every second day or once a week, it feels a little bit more natural.
Great. So I guess we are cutting short on time now. So could we take a short summary maybe?
Yes, and I prepared a slide for this.
You did?
Yes,
wow.
I did. So I would say that Toyota Kata is really about creating an organizational muscle memory for doing continuous improvement. So you will build in a known structure of how you do improvement. And this could be applied in all levels and all parts of your organization. And it's also looking at improvements that we do. What we try out are experiments, that we are applying the scientific method. We formulate an hypothesis, we predict what will happen, we do an experiment, and 50% of those will not give the result that we expect, and then we learn. And also having these familiar routines that we repeat over and over, so it becomes kind of a safety net or a guide rail that you can hold on to in the unknown.
Good. So it seems like it's really in a box. So do we really need to do the kata exactly as we did it now?
So are these katas really important as they described? Yes, these are based on how lean companies do improvement work, and the wording is important, but having the routines itself is more important than the actual wording. So if you feel it uncomfortable or not reasonable for your specific situation, create your own, but focus on working on them for perfection. So it's not really, if you can't really use this, but it's a very good starting point, then you can make up your own, but have them that you repeat them over and over so it becomes habits or routines in your organization.
So great, and it seems like we have tried this in our team now for a couple of months,
Yeah.
and it seems like we have a new tool that we can use, and the team seems to be pretty happy actually.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Very good. And it feels like we made some progress on the test setup as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Not just to forget that. With that said, I guess that our presentation is over, and we have about 5 minutes for questions.
Yep.
So please, do you have any questions?
Yes. So you moving down there, or should we get? Yeah, we'll start.
The 50% of experiments failing, where is that exact figure? Where did that number come from?
So the
yeah.
question were if the 50%.
Yes.
Is that the exact number, or is something we just made up?
So you can look into many of the lean organizations that do this, and they kind of set this up in this way. And there's also, if you look into information gathering, if you read some of the books by Don Reinaldson, he talks about where you want to be experimenting, you should be at kind of the 50% mark for doing experiments. And failing, I use the wording not that you didn't expect, because it doesn't just mean that the experiment should give a result that is not as good as you expected, but it could also be much better than you expected. And you have the equal opportunity to learn something when it's better than you expected. But that is, if you look into knowledge gathering, the 50% mark is something that is proven to be a good point. And we had someone more in the back and then in the front here. So how fixed is the vision? So of course it's something that's hard to set in the beginning. We don't know always the end in mind, so to say. And if I understand it correctly, when Toyota started out with this 70, 80 years ago, they didn't have the specific vision that they have today. So they have evolved that over time. But setting a vision and not changing it every day and every iteration, so to speak, is important. But it's also important to get started. So it's more important to get started in going through this experimentation phase than actually setting the perfect vision, so to say.
I guess when you kind of get closer to the vision, you can change the vision.
Yes, you
and
push it
evolve.
out.
Yes.
Yes, then you push it even more. So there's a big difference between target and target conditions, because a target condition is something that you aim for, but it's only on the path towards the challenge or the vision. So if you reach the target condition before the expiration date, then you just move on towards the vision and the challenge.
So does the Toyota Kata replace the retrospective, or has it augmented the retrospective, or do you do them both, or how does that fit with your existing Scrum-like process?
So is the Kata a replacement for the agile retrospective, or just augmented it? So if you really look at the patterns described by Diana Larsen and whatever his name is, the agile retrospective book,
right now.
they have a very similar pattern really. So it could be a replacement if you want to take this as your method of doing it, but this could also augment it. And in most of the teams that I use that are in a Scrum-like process, we do the retrospective at the end of the sprint, but we do daily improvements at the daily meetings and in a specific part of the day as well.
And for me also, Toyota Kata is a way of actually challenging the team, because what I feel over time that the team gets more and more introverts, and they start to act as a group and more similar, and you're not kind of challenging each other or themselves. So there's a good thing to keep the retrospective for team feedback and work with the things that the team feels like, but then you can put the Toyota Kata from another manager or leader that actually sees from the outside things that could improve.
Any other questions, reflections? No hands? Yes?
How do you get the targets and the challenges when you say, I want to improve the database or the test setup? You've got to get that prioritized by your product owner to come in and to take up that time. How does that work? You go, I
Yep.
want 3 days to make this better. And they go, I want you to work on this for 3 days to make this feature better. How do you do that?
So the question is about making the priorities of how to do which improvement to do and compare that to...
Yeah, I think that the question that is the real challenge. So how do you get your company to focus on continuous learning rather than just delivering new code as fast as you can all the time? I don't know. I have seen so many systems that has died on a too many feature anti-pattern. So I guess that is. How do you work with that? How do you change the organization?
So the organization really have to buy into this thing about doing continuous improvement. But I see, if you look at Scrum, how it's described, the Scrum Master should be responsible for how the process operates. And the product owner should only be responsible for what content we deliver. So it's really a negotiation between the Scrum Master and the product owner, and they should be on even footing. And in companies that have lean as a philosophy, doing process improvement is as important, if not more important, than meeting a specific delivery target.
Great. We have a big sign that flashing time's up. So I guess if we have any more questions, we have to take that on the hallway. So
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.